Friends and comrades, this is it.
The Nazis stole our secrets. They used them to win the war. Everything they have accomplished was built upon our knowledge.
Jason, Wolfenstein is brilliant.
What?
It is absolutely brilliant.
The hell you say?
Do you want to know why it's brilliant?
Why?
Because they called this game Wolfenstein. So instantly,
okay.
all of my expectations were just like, oh, again.
Wolfenstein.
You're really going to bring this shit back up on me? But then a glorious thing happened. One of the best things in all of culture, media, and video games. Holy shit, it's actually a really, really good game.
That's not possible.
It is. It is. Welcome, everybody, to Rage Select reviewing Wolfenstein: The New Order today. And yeah, goddamn, like I remember when they announced this, right? And they had a very generic trailer. In fact, there was a thing where Warren Spector went online and like was talking shit about Wolfenstein, about
Really?
like the last thing we need is another brown and gray shooting Nazis game. But like, holy shit,
we need another shitty Mickey Mouse game.
well, you know, we're gonna start beef with Warren Spector on this particular review. But this game starts out, and I had zero expectations. It'd been slow recently. You're just like, what are the big names that are coming out this week? Oh, Wolfenstein's coming out. Okay, we'll play that. Then the game starts, and you're on this airplane, and shit's blowing up, and it just like it hits go, and it just don't stop. It just goes and it goes and it goes, and it's got heart. It's clever. It does stuff with Nazis I haven't played in a game at least for a long, long time. Like it was just like super, super surprising.
I'm surprised.
Yeah,
I think you're making it up.
I'm not making it up. I mean, I don't sleep very much, but I'm pretty sure I was. I tell you what, the comments will let you know if I've just been hallucinating all these game mechanics.
Yeah.
Turns out Jeff was just staring at an empty screen for 10 hours like, this game is incredible.
You were watching Downfall.
That's right.
Pressing on an old Sega Master System controller.
Just finally lost it, you guys. Just pack it in. No, but this game is basically an alternate retelling of Wolfenstein. And I'm going to tell you the first thing, which is completely awesome, no Hitler. Zero Hitler from start to finish in this game.
Man, I like... wait, no, I'm not going to finish that sentence.
You like Hitler?
No, that's not what I was going to say. I like historically accurate games. That's what I was going to say.
Well, then, brother, you need to go somewhere else, because this game kind of starts out with you as the most unfortunately named character in all of video games,
Banana
B.J.
Jones.
Blazkowicz.
B.J. Blazkowicz.
Right.
His name's not really Banana Jones.
Well, I like to think
might
of
be.
it like that. And you're in this formation of allied bombers, and you're going for this research facility where this guy Death's-Head is creating all these Nazi super weapons that are going to blow up all of mankind. It's very like Captain America-ish, right?
Yes.
And so you play as super blonde, super buff, super goddamn America, B.J. Blazkowicz. In fact, I don't know why they didn't just call him like America Blood Man or something like that.
Oh my God, that is the new superhero.
America Blood Man?
Yes. The most patriotic of all patriots.
I mean, you guys saw, this is not a spoiler, the first 5 minutes of this, you jump out of your airplane onto another airplane.
Yes.
Like just because when you go back and you actually...
Because you're America Blood Man.
You read what they were saying there, it was like because they needed you guys over on that plane. And so you're just like, well, then fuck this plane. We're just going to jump onto that other plane. And actually, after they jump out onto that plane, the dude forgets to set an autopilot or anything, because then your old plane just starts tearing into the new plane or whatever. So you crash on Nazi Island, and there's robot dogs, there's giant Tesla walkers, there's all these super science Nazis. They have a real fascination with dogs, the Nazis.
Okay.
Because they've got like these giant Grimlock robot dogs.
Yes,
But
I
they've
remember.
also got regular dogs that they've totally roboted the fuck out of.
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Like it's not enough to just have a mean dog. You've got to like put a bunch of metal
Mean
and
robot
shit.
dog.
Right. But then they didn't apparently program their big Grimlock dogs, because there's one point where a guy throws a grenade and the dog goes to fetch it, and then it blows its head up, and you're like, I would think the whole point of having a robot would be to make a murderous killing machine, not something that if you told it to roll over,
Suddenly
it would be
gets
like...
cute. Starts licking his nuts.
Right.
Nuts and bolts. I'm not going to be filthy. Come
Yeah,
on.
sure. So one of the few I'm getting into a few of them, but one of the very beginning of the game, one of the few drawbacks of the game is that this game takes about an hour to 90 minutes to actually get started, because the first mission of the game is back in the 1940s. You're assaulting this base. You're trying to stop these super weapons that would wipe out, because the Nazis have a leg up with all their crazy science, and they're going to wipe out everybody if you guys don't kill their main scientist and destroy all their research. That mission is long, and if it's to be tutorial, if it's to make an area where you can do tutorial stuff, you learn everything you need to know in like the first 10 minutes of the game. It's not a big deal.
Right.
So there's this giant castle, almost like some kind of castle Wolfenstein.
What?
That you run through. You kill a whole shit ton of Nazis. And when you get to the end, surprise, this is not surprising, but surprise, you don't actually do it, and suddenly we flash forward, and it's
fail.
Like 1960, and the Nazis have literally taken over everything. Everything is now just covered in all kinds of Nazi bullshit, but it's still got that like crazy. Everything looks vaguely 60s, but as made by super uptight Nazi dudes instead of like free love acid people or
the
whatever.
Summer of Love is cancelled.
That's right. I wish that there had been a mission, an alternate history mission, where you could go to Nazi Woodstock. Just this really like super boring Nazi Woodstock.
Watching the 60s version of Rammstein.
Yeah, exactly. And then the rest of the game is basically set in 1960, and which is cool because just in that one settings change, they go from your World War II game where you go from landing on the beach, you do D-Day, and then you're in the Ardennes, or I don't know, the tank battles and blah blah. All that's gone. It's not like it's so the swinging 60s, and everybody dresses like this one guy who has like this bright checkerboard vest or whatever. I'm like, dude, they'll see you from, and it's like, well, you're not fighting in jungle, you're fighting in like the streets of London in the 60s. So from there, the game moves forward through a series of missions. It's about 10 to 12 hours long, and I'll tell you, they go all over the goddamn place. Like, they go out of their way to give you a lot of really interesting places to go. I can't talk about them because
don't want to spoil it.
There's one specifically where I was just like, oh, are we yeah
at a Beatles show,
right? Das Beatles. We already made that joke. But you go through and you kind of hook up with this resistance, and you start by kind of getting everything back together, because they're all beaten down and shit. They've been under Nazi occupation for 20 years. They're all fucked up.
You're like, I just woke up.
Right. You're like, there's a really great part after he wakes up where he's like, I got to call America. And they're like, there is no America, bro. America's gone. So you go through a series of missions, and they're broken up they'll kind of do like one action mission, and then they'll have one of those missions that's in a hub world, like a safe house, or just a downtime place where you can talk to people. You can do these little kind of like fetch missions inside of there, and then they'll go back to the regular missions. But the whole game it's something that we don't see as much these days, in that it's less Call of Duty style corridor shooter.
Yeah.
It's more like Riddick style, and that's apt because these guys, Machine Games, are all ex-Starbreeze people.
Right.
But it's like they will put you in an area, and it's a giant open area, and there are all these little secrets and secret passageways to find. There's more than one way to get around each way. You've got a whole like duck to stealth type of thing where you can sneak around and murder Nazis, and then keep alarms from going off. Like, they have these commanders in every area, and if you don't take down the commanders and they see you and the alarm goes off, reinforcements will just pour in until you manage to finally murder the commanders. So there's a reason to do stealth, but they never like make you do it. It's not slavish to that idea. You can kind of just do it the way that you want to. And it really gives you an excuse for each area, that instead of just, trying to run from the beginning to the end of the area, you really are looking around. You're trying to pick up notes and audio tapes and upgrade stuff. And
it's not just like a little side corridor behind a painting or something like that.
Right. That each area, they usually have these complicated maps where they have all kinds of like little alternate paths. Like, I'm sure that there are some places where you probably could have gone around all of the Nazis and continued. But Jeff, don't leave
fun in that.
Nazis alive, man. Like, they're oppressing everybody. Like, we should have awesome rock and roll, but instead we've got the horrible Sonny and Cher German version of Sonny and Cher. You're right. I don't know if that's a blessing or a curse. Should we be thanking the Nazis?
It's a curse.
We want the Sonny and Cher?
No, to have the Sonny and Cher. That's the curse.
Do you want the Nazi Sonny and Cher or regular Sonny and Cher?
Oh, that's like Sophie's Choice, only both of them suck.
Right. But then from there, so you've got these areas that are full of Nazis, and they actually do a really good job of having a bunch of different types of enemies. They'll have, as the game progresses, you'll have more and more enemies that are Nazis in giant science armor or just straight up big robots.
Yeah.
And then you'll have the commanders, you have regular guys, you'll have heavily armored dudes. They're dogs of all shapes because they love their dogs, Nazis.
Or hate them.
Yeah, maybe they do. I don't know. But you progress forward all the way to the end of the game. Boom, you're done. And now, as far as the weapons and stuff go, you have a fair, your pretty normal assortment of video game weapons, but they're all just a little bit cooler than your normal video game weapons. So you got a pistol, shotgun, machine gun, sniper rifle, grenades.
Sure, your standard stuff.
Right, but there's two things about those that are cool. All the weapons have a sub firing mode on them, and for like assault rifle, the sub firing mode on the assault rifle is shoot a grenade. Like whatever, we've seen that a million times. The pistol, it's put a silencer on. Okay, that's fine.
Right,
but like the shotgun, it's equip this bouncy buckshot, where when you shoot it, it just starts pinging all over the place and killing people.
Oh, it does kill people.
Yeah,
it's not like wee.
No, it's just the little mighty ball.
Okay.
That's all it is.
Yeah,
you just shoot those. And the sniper rifle, it's like you can turn it into like a laser weapon and stuff like that. So there's like a lot of cool stuff, and you actually find these things by looking through the secrets in every map and picking them up. And the other cool thing they do with those secrets I didn't mention before was that they put question marks on the map where they are. So some of the stuff, like some of the non-essential stuff, is hidden, but a lot of the stuff that is going to be like is going to affect the performance of the game or your weaponry or things like that, clearly marked on the map. That shit's down that subtunnel in an alcove. So you've got all of that, but wait, that's not all, because in addition to that, if you act right now, you'll get absolutely free the ability to double wield any single weapon in the game.
Which every game involving guns should have.
I'm talking literally all of them. You can have 2 sniper rifles, and you can't zoom in anymore, but you can fucking bang, 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 bang with 2 sniper rifles.
Doesn't make a lot of sense, but okay, I'm listening.
I gotta tell you, there is nothing better than that rare moment in this game where you have 2 auto shotguns equipped and you open a door and there's a bunch of Nazis on the other side, because you just go from 0 to marinara in like a second. In addition to all of these weapons, you also have they also have throwing knives that you can pick up to do long-range stealth assassination, which is pretty cool. They also have this like laser weapon that you get very early on, where there's all of these. There's a type of material. It's this metal that has holes in it in the game that you can cut holes in with this like laser cutter.
Okay,
and it starts
in
with
certain types of surfaces.
Right. There'll be a secret passage that you can do that, or there'll be a box crate that has something in it that you can open with that thing. In addition, though, you have that for like one mission, and then they give you essentially the big laser version of that, which then turns into a gun that you can use. And every mission gives you another upgrade to this gun, where it's like, okay, well, now when you shoot, if you miss a guy, the laser will bounce back and hit them for 50% damage. And then later on, you get one where you basically just get this big targeting thing where you just put all of the Nazis inside of it, and you hit the button, it drains all the power from the gun and just murders them all instantaneously.
Oh, man. I wish this were real.
The only downside to this gun for a while is that you have to recharge it. And so on the wall throughout the game, there are these recharging stations, and you have to just sit there. You don't just hit it, and then it recharges your gun. You hit it, it has to open up, and it's bzzz.
The enemy's like, is he recharging? We've already reloaded. It's like, just give me 5 minutes.
Yeah. There were some areas in the game where some of the bigger enemies, you hurt them a lot more by using that laser weapon. So I'd find myself like up against a pillar, like with the smallest cover, like my elbows are sticking out each side, trying to get my shit recharged while all of these robots were just hailing death and fire onto me from a distance. In addition to that, you also have one of my personal favorites, an upgrade mechanic.
Of course.
And it's actually, I like it when games do this, where I'm trying to think of another game that did like this. Uncharted was one that did like this, where rather than being like when you kill Nazis you get points and then you upgrade them, each upgrade has a specific kind of like victory condition. So if you kill like five Nazi commanders from behind with a knife, right? You'll get you walk faster when you're squatted in stealth mode.
So instead of getting like an achievement,
right? They give you a bonus instead. So a lot of times it did kind of the opposite of so one of the reasons that I don't necessarily like trophies or achievements is because I feel like they make you play a certain way for an arbitrary prize. But in this one, it was like get 3 kills while sliding when you run, and then you hit the duck button, you'll slide forward. Yeah. And I was like, well, I would never do that, ever.
I would.
Well, it's not.
I like sliding.
But running directly at a bunch of Nazis is not a good idea. You've got guns.
Yeah, and you don't have regenerating health. Well, you do, but not to the extent that other games have.
Yeah, it's like actually, Riddick is a perfect example where, like you have a base 20 health that you'll always recharge back up to 20%. But when you get more health, if you get down to like 81, it'll charge back up to whatever the higher number is. So like if you're at 81, it'll charge back up to 90. If you're at 74, it'll charge back up to 80, right? But then you also, as you pick up health packs, which this game is lousy with health and armor for that matter, if you have 100% health, you can actually overcharge your health, and that basically means your health goes up, but then it just slowly ticks down, which is a great incentive to run to the next room and start murdering more Nazis. All told, if it's not already clear, all of these things add up to make a game that my biggest fear when this game was coming out was that it was going to be an L1R1, L1R1, or L2R2, L2R2 kind of thing, right? Just shoot a guy, shoot a guy, shoot a guy, shoot a guy. And all this stuff adds up to give you enough variety to really let you kind of play the game the way that you want to. There's even, fuck's sake, man, there's even a cover system.
It could have been, or it should have been, a generic FPS.
Yeah.
It should have been, quote unquote, another Wolfenstein game.
Absolutely. And the fact that it was, id post Carmack, that it's isn't this the latest id game since Rage? Was Rage the last one?
There was one more.
There's one in between? Okay.
Did it start with a B?
Brink?
Was it Brink?
Brink was on id Tech 5, but it was made by Splash Damage.
Oh, okay.
But then I think that the previous Wolfenstein was made by Raven, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, this is id Tech 5, and it's also worth noting that on top of everything else I'm saying, this game looks fucking gorgeous, man. Like, I don't know what they did between Rage and Brink to get id Tech 5 working, but like, there was never any. I played this on the PlayStation 4. There was never any texture pop in. All of the characters had very expressive faces. They did like to color the eyeballs of the characters very blue, like laser Fremen blue, like where I'm just like, I know that BJ Blazkowicz is like supposed to be American as fuck, but like, I got to turn down the brightness on my TV. His laser eyes are cutting right through me.
He looked so airy, and the bad guys were kneeling down to him before he shot at them.
Right. But yeah, I mean the music. There's a ton of interesting characters. There's a ton of interesting. I told you about. There's a mini game in here that I was just like,
oh
what?
Yeah.
There's and the writing on it's pretty damn good too. Like I actually found myself empathizing with BJ Blazkowicz because he's like this man out of time, and he hates motherfucking Nazis.
Well, you remind me a lot of him.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's right. It's the meat neck, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Meat neck.
But you go to the Resistance. There's a bunch of other characters in there, and you empathize with them. There's crazy sub characters. There's one I haven't even told you about that is just like in one of the timelines. We'll get to that in a minute. It was just like, it was insane. I saw it. I was just like, are you kidding me? That's completely fucking bizarre. So like, this is a game that could have been just the safest goddamn like cash cow franchise cash in ever. And maybe it's because I had very little to zero expectation for this game.
Yeah.
That when I went in, I was just like, holy shit, there's a great game in here. Now there's actually a couple of things worth noting. There's a second timeline. There's a choice you make very early on in the game, which will funnel you into one of two timelines. They are different. They're not ridiculously different. There's different types of upgrades. There's one type of upgrade that's different between the two timelines.
Oh, okay.
In a very minimal way.
So almost cosmetic.
There's one, the characters, I didn't play both timelines, but apparently the characters give you two different skills, one of which will let you get into areas that you couldn't get into otherwise, and then the other one lets you do, I was never very clear about what it does, but what that means is that there's totally a reason to go back and play this game all the way from the beginning again to see the differences.
And you often can't say that.
Yeah. And a very real reason. The only thing that kind of irks me a little bit is that the choice that happens takes place at the end of the first act, and from near as I can tell, you have to replay all the way through the first part to get to that choice again before you can start doing the other
right.
stuff. It would have been nice if they had streamlined a little bit of maybe like, if these missions are exactly the same, maybe let me kind of go around them to just see.
Just go back and jump right back in.
Right. There's also another thing in the game where you're this is also another weirdo thing. There's Enigma codes spread throughout the game.
Okay.
There's a whole Enigma mini game where if you set your little Enigma machine to the right thing, it opens up other gameplay styles that you can do, like modifiers for the gameplay, which awesome. There's also a shit ton of audio logs and concept art and all kinds of awesome shit to collect. So yeah, I don't know what else I can say. I feel like a lot of times I have problems with games. There's maybe a couple problems that I have with this game. One, there is no multiplayer, and after you get done playing the game twice, I think you'd be hard pressed to.
That's really strange.
It's to go back and especially for Wolfenstein, right?
Right.
For a game that has a pedigree of multiplayer.
Yeah.
I didn't see any in there unless they hid that shit real sneaky. Like, I don't know. There were a few points in the game where the game is pretty unapologetic about just throwing a bunch of shit at you. I played it on medium. There's actually 2 difficulty levels above medium. I can see this becoming a very, very difficult game on the higher difficulty settings.
As it should.
As it should. Outside of that, I mean, there's a couple of real small, like early on in the game, every so often there would be a gun or a bullet that would get stuck in the air in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
The game crashed on me one time while I was playing it. There are a couple of levels that, while interesting, are a little tedious in the beginning. I mean, there'll be some time before the action gets started. But outside of that, there's not really very much at all I can say bad about this game. Like, I start thinking about what else I would put in here, and fucking no. I think this is going to be one of those standout games that, I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard that many people talking about it. Maybe it's because it's so close to Watch Dogs coming out or whatever.
Yeah, it's really still, and it's always been this way. Even since they announced it, it's just been flying under the radar.
But I really think that, I mean, if you're at all a fan of shooters, if you're at all a fan, I mean, if you got, I saw somebody on one of our videos in a comments thread saying, I am sick of Nazis. And, dude, I am totally with you.
We get it.
But this isn't that. This isn't a World War II game. This is an alternate history 60s sci-fi game almost. This probably has more in common. It's more like Castle Wolfenstein crossed with No One Lives Forever.
Oh.
I mean, not that it's like cheesy like No One Lives Forever, but it's got this like 60s vibe and all this stuff in it. And I just think it's great. I think it's absolutely wonderful. I don't think it's perfect. I'm going to give it a 4.5, man.
That is...
I enjoyed the shit out of this game.
Wow.
I keep trying to think of bad things to say, and like a few graphical hiccups. Load times were good. I'm racking my brain here, and I can't really think of many bad things to even say about this. I mean, and this is even discounting the fact that there's a bunch of shit in this game I can't even talk about because it's a spoiler. That's so badass. So that's Wolfenstein, man. Did you ever come up with an answer for German Sonny and Cher, Nazi Sonny and Cher, or regular Sonny and Cher?
Nazi Sonny and Cher.
Nazi Sonny and Cher.
Simply on the fact that they're Nazis.
Okay.
Es war der Ruin vieler guter Jungs. Von mir, mein Gott, litt ich Not.